What's good YouTube, Man of Steel here, and in today's video we're taking on the Lunala EX Expert Solo Battle, the 5th of 8 that came from Celestial Guardians. We will be completing the challenge with only fighting type Pokemon, as well as only 3 diamonds or less. But before we begin, if you enjoy all things Pokemon Pocket, I post everything from Expert Solo Battle guides like these, to weekly meta reports, and even some Master Ball tier deck breakdowns. So if any of that interests you, please consider subscribing. Now let's get into Lunala EX. On paper, this list might seem a little lackluster. Like, it's not something you would see like in the meta. I've seen some people tinker around with like Giratina Mewtwo, but that's not what we're worried about. We're worried about exactly what this is. So looking at it, it doesn't seem very meta, and realistically you could probably beat this with anything that is meta. However, the point of this challenge is to beat it with the opposite type, which in this case is fighting, and 3 diamonds or less, as mentioned previously. So that disadvantage kind of like makes it a little difficult, because if this deck does get going, it gets annoying between like constantly attacking with Giratina and Lunala and just swapping them around, so you never have like lethal at any moment. However, when looking at this list, I try to focus on a few details that make the decision on like what we're going to build to counter it. And number one is that our main attackers, or aka what they'll have in their active spot most of the time, if not all the time, is all EX Pokemon. Yes, they have the non-EX Giratina that sort of serves like a wall that they eventually swap out because of the whole the ability to retreat for free as long as it has an energy. But more likely than not, they'll have either Lunala, and even more likely than that, the Giratina EX is always up front, and they're always trying to build it up, and it is a problem once it gets going. But again, since it is most likely either going to be Lunala or Giratina, you could just round it up and say most of the time they'll have an EX up front. Number two is that they have Leaf, 2 copies of Leaf, as well as, like I mentioned, the non-Giratina EX, which could swap out at any moment due to its ability. And thanks to the Lunala ability of being able to grab all the energy from one psychic Pokemon and put it to your active, they don't get punished for swapping around so often. So we have to keep in mind that they will be swapping around like constantly. And number 3 is not only damage output, but also HP totals. Giratina swings for 130, Lunala swings for 100, and the Giratina non-EX is swinging for 70. As for HP totals, Giratina is usually from 150 to 170, but you gotta keep in mind that it's usually attacking. So essentially you gotta go 20 down from there. So your ranges that you want to hit are anywhere from 130 to 150. Meanwhile, Lunala EX is an absurd 180, which is honestly a little like tough to deal with. However, I guess lucky for us, since it is a utility Pokemon that even the the opponent or the AI sees it as a utility Pokemon, it tends to be just stashed away in the back while it's giving the energy to everything else. However, when it is up front, we do have ways of answering it. And as far as healing and like modifiers to HP, they play 1 Cape and 2 Lilies. The 2 Lilies only affect Lunala EX, and like we mentioned, they barely have it up front, so we have to like basically capitalize on the fact when it's in the back. And the Cape ranges don't really switch up too much, but it's always like important to keep in mind. Although from my own experience, it usually goes on the Giratina, and like I said, once it attacks, it goes it loses the 20 HP. So as long as you're able to clear the 130, 150, you should be good with or without Cape. And with those points in mind is that we go to my build for the task at hand, which is Sudowoodo Rampardos. I truly believe this is one of, if not the best way to take down Lunala EX. The Expert Solo Battle mode. Clearly, if you're again playing against somebody who has a constructed deck with like Mewtwo and stuff, this list isn't going to do much. But for this case, I do believe this is like efficient and fast. And before I even get to the breakdown, I want to stress that the best feature of this deck is the speed, because good or bad, it will happen quickly. Whether you win and brick, or like, whether you win or you brick and you don't see their fossil and lose, it happens rather quickly. So whether you do it in your first try, which is what we're hoping to aim for, or it takes you like 2 or 3, you'll be done with this challenge before you know it. The way this deck is built, it guarantees that you start off with Sudowoodo. Thus, we are immediately swinging a Giratina or the Lunala EX if they get to it rather quickly for a solid 50 damage, which only the non-EX Giratina like walls us completely, but that's also fine, because since Giratina can only do 70, our Sudowoodo is technically walling them as well. Our finisher is then clearly the Rampardos, as you can see there, which with the aid of the rest of the deck is how you essentially knock out anything. Like technically Sudowoodo hits the Lunala for 50 and they don't heal it. They're at 130 for the Rampardos. Giratina is definitely in range once it gets hit. Although, like I said, with the Giratina, once it swings, it goes to 130. So like once it knocks out Sudowoodo, it's also in range for Rampardos. And then, not to mention, the Giratina's are flat 120, so that's always in range as well. As always, I have Iono and Communication for consistency. It's like one of my favorite things to plug into these lists, especially like now that everything has like rare candy, or for the most part have rare candy. Iono is especially important because of like the full mulligan is sometimes your only shot at finding the fossil, since fossils are not searchable by Pokeball, and you have to hope like draw 2 with research. Iono being able to like throw your 5 or your 4 to 6 cards back into the deck and hope to draw them is most likely, honestly, the best chance you have at finding fossils, to the point where I'd even consider playing a second one. However, I felt like this was consistent enough, and if you see the fossil outright, you're good to go. When it comes to Sabrina and Cyrus, they serve multiple purposes, although Lunala kind of like gets rid of the stall variant. Like doing Sabrina to send something to the back isn't like as effective against this deck as it is against others, due to Lunala's ability to just transfer the energy and they keep attacking. But the main thing they do allow is first of all, to get rid of like the non-Giratina EX from the way, because it does wall the Sudowoodo. It is annoying to use a Rampardos attack on it if it's not for game. So being able to like Sabrina out the non-Giratina EX and start poking the EXs that they have in the backline for 50 is huge. And when it comes to Cyrus, since they are constantly swapping from what they have in the active, trying to give their energy and attack, and then they swap again if it's in danger and so on, more likely than not, if it gets to the late game, Cyrus will have a target that will let you to steal the game. Ultimately, this deck is heavily inspired by the meta strategies like Rockruff or the Garchomp that's started popping up here and there, as they use the fossil engine sort of to guarantee what your starter will be. So we want to have Sudowoodo on the start to start dealing 50 while we slowly build up a Rampardos, or quickly if we see the whole entire like rare candy line. Thus, with Sudowoodo's early aggression and the power of Rampardos to close it out, there's not much your opponent could do once everything like runs as intended. For a clear idea of how the deck works, feel free to stick around for the gameplay. I always put 2 examples in every one of my videos, because I truly believe that the best way to show you how the decks that I put in these videos work is through practice, because there's only so much I could express through words. But regardless, I'd like to thank y'all for watching. I appreciate every single one of y'all, and above all else, stay pro. All right, we're going first. And we have, well, the Sudowoodo is guaranteed based on the list. We are looking for the fossil for sure, so that we could try to close it out. Your best bet is just closing it out as fast as possible. And realistically, if you go second, it's better, but... Alright, this is the other Sudowoodo guaranteed. We could technically hold it in our hand. They have no red, no Mars, no nothing. No Sabrina either, so whether it's on board or hand, it's the same thing. Reason I'm keeping it in hand is because we do play communication, so there's a world where we could like swap it for Cranidos. My bad, like the name escaped me. I mix up Rampardos and Cranidos all the time. Oof. If only we had the necessary cards. I almost want to... I don't know everything back. We could technically red here, but we would still be 10 off, right? Like we did for 70 and 70. That's how I don't know everything for max chances to see new cards. 6 brand new cards. We're hoping for... Okay, there you go. Skull Fossil. Do we see Cranidos or Rare Candy? Alright, that's so much better. I know that's greedy, and technically had it whiffed, it would be like a waste of a supporter for the turn, but that's the reason we're playing Iono. And we want to keep our hand size big so that we saw that many more cards. Now that we have that pretty much set up, I mean, now that we do have that set up, we pretty much have it game set, especially since we have Leaf, and we can start attacking next turn. So this Giratina is not a problem no more. And once Giratina's gone, we basically win the game because Lunala feeds off of the fact that Giratina produces so much energy. Yes, they do have another Giratina in the deck, so we're not like in the clear fully. But it's a much better position to be in. Because now they have the Lunala here. Let's see, I wasn't sure if they were going to divide up their energy or not. Yeah, you see, all 4 energy there. That's basically game. Another Skull Fossil. We're going to go Rare Candy. Feed them the energy. Leaf so that Sudowoodo is still viable. Plus, Sudowoodo needs a retreat cost of 2. So Leaf is one of those cards that you might want to put to 2 in the list. I ultimately went with the list that's right here, as you can see. And as I broke down earlier in the video. But yeah, we could definitely establish this fossil as well. Let's get our first knockout. Now, I personally don't play Lily or anything like that, which maybe is a mistake. I just felt like there's games where you have to like aggro with Sudowoodo and Lily doesn't match with that. So just cards that I wanted to play, cards that were like always viable, or for the most part you can make viable. Because for example, now we're gonna hit this Giratina. Actually, we have red, right? So it's game as well. Anyways, but like let's say we hit this Giratina without red, and then next turn they use Leaf to bounce it out. That's why we play Cyrus, right? Like I feel like everything in the deck has to have a purpose. And just like that, we already beat the challenge. It is gonna require, like any Rampardos deck, like the luck of seeing the fossil, but that's what we want Sudowoodo for. Sudowoodo off rip is hitting everything in front of it for 50. Granted, not if they start the non-EX Giratina does wall you, as well as the Cosmog line could be annoying in that situation. But for the most part, we're good to go in sense like the Sudowoodo is going to be hitting for 50, and that's the main point. Regardless, as always, we do multiple attempts, so you can see it wasn't like, oh, I finally got lucky in one and that's the one I posted. So let's go on to the second attempt. All right, this time we're going second. So if we always lead Sudowoodo. I feel like I gotta stress that, but we get to be more aggressive. And unfortunately for us, they drew the, I guess, like the counter to the Sudowoodo, which is just a wall, something that we can't really take down. However, we did open Skull Fossil and Cranidos, so we're on our way to like basically auto winning this. All right. I wasn't sure if they have the Cosmog setup, then this we could see actually this deck like going all out. Let's go research. No need to Iono like we did in the first example. Where is it? Let's put down the Skull Fossil. And even though it's not like game-changing amount of damage, the 20 does put it in range of the Cranidos, so that's something to keep in mind. Not Cranidos, Rampardos, my bad. Alright, we got research. There's the Cosmog. You have to assume they have like their way to Lunala. Yeah, so this one might get a little scary before it gets fine. Definitely evolve here. We're gonna hold the Sudowoodo for a communication play next turn. As we start, actually, yeah, we could feed this just in case this falls somehow. Because next turn, they could essentially swing with Giratina as early as next turn. That doesn't change anything, because they'll swing, they'll go down to 130. Oh, and then I'll Iono for Rampardos if I have to. So I'm pretty sure we're good to go. It's just a matter of like putting a front, I guess. Yeah, because next turn, especially that Very Candy Lunala, they're just giving energy to Giratina, making its retreat cost because of Levitate free. So they'll bounce it back. Then use Lunala to give that energy they just give to Giratina to the EX, and they'll swing for... Or I stand corrected. Second secret option, they swing with Giratina. I don't know what that was. If we see Rampardos, we're in a really good spot, so let's dig for it. Let's hope this gets it. If not, I will Iono my entire hand back just to see that one Pokemon right here. Actually, now that I think about it, it was guaranteed, right? Yeah, it was guaranteed because we have both Sudowoodos in play. This wasn't a chance at all. I baited you. Which means we could technically use a Leaf here to get back. And if you're wondering what I'm thinking about, is like clearly we're always swapping back here, right? I guess it doesn't. We could hold Leaf and back out the Rampardos if need be. Let's do this one like that. The question is there a need to cape, because we're gonna go down to 100 flat. They don't have a way to attack next turn. If they send out, yeah, none of these actually make a difference. Let's just get the knockout and react to whatever they do. If they put Lunala up front, we'll probably Leaf and hit the Lunala with a Sudowoodo. If they put either of the Giratinas out, we just win with the red in hand. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's trained to like protect Lunala at all costs. They don't have it up front unless it's like what can attack. And what I mean by that is that it requires 3 energy to attack. So if it's the turn before that, that's when they'll put it up. At least in practice, although it doesn't matter here because this is game. So yeah, even though they drew the counter to our Sudowoodo that's able to resist all the damage that they're doing, I mean, that's able to resist what we're doing, we ultimately get it. It might take a few tries in the sense of like, if you don't see the fossil, you're not going to be winning the game, because that's like the whole concept of the game. But it's the same thing as taking Rockruff to ranked or Garchomp to ranked. Like, you play a certain strategy, and if you see it, you're going to be doing really well. And if you don't see it, you're going to be losing a few games. So hopefully y'all see the Skull Fossil quickly evolve into Rampardos and just win. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward. As soon as you knock out the Pokemon with the most energy, like with all the energy on it, the Lunala loses all, like, I guess, playability. Because once the energy because otherwise, if you let them be, they'll just keep swapping between attackers and completely, like, and transferring all the energy to the one that's in the lead. And then, but eventually, once you cut off the head, it's not like a Hydra that's gonna like get replaced. No, as soon as you knock out where all the energy is at, the Lunala deck really loses steam or any potential. So this one was a little fast. That's another good thing about the deck. Although I probably already mentioned this, it's gonna win or lose very fast, which means even if you lose, and like those 5 attempts might be shorter than 1 attempt of a successful deck in a past video. Like that's how fast this deck works or doesn't work. You know pretty fast if it's gonna do it. So best of luck beating Lunala yourself, and above all else, stay pro.